The wild dogs storm into the hunt. Without hesitation. Never retreat. The pack tightens the encirclement, cutting off all escape routes. Locking onto the target. On the savannah, the line between life and death is cruelly fragile. A moment too slow, the hunter could become the hunted. There's no room for detour. Nowhere to break free. Only the instinct to survive. Why can a small hunting pack make the entire savannah tremble? African wild dogs are one of the world's most efficient pack predators. They live in closely connected groups, usually consisting at the edge of the savannah. Baboons are primates with complex social structures. They often gather in groups of 10 or more. Adults weigh about 90 pounds. Equipped with long canine teeth and an aggressive nature, they seek higher ground. An impenetrable fortress. The wild dog pack quickly assesses the threat. They don't rush into a direct confrontation. A single baboon can inflict a severe impact on the torso. Instead, they keep their distance, probing for weaknesses. The baboons hold their ground. Using their size and the advantage of the trees, they counterattack strongly, pushing the wild dogs back. The wild dog's patience paid off. The opportunity comes when a young individual falls behind and leaves the protection of the pack. Brief, precise finishing actions quickly end the encounter, leaving only the ripples of the disturbance. African wetlands are the crossroads of hunting routes. Wild dogs, endurance hunters of the savannah, coming to drink and track underwater food. A crocodile, weighing about 1,200 pounds, lies still. Only its eyes are visible, observing its surroundings. The two species rarely meet voluntarily, but sharing the same space makes encounters inevitable. When the temperature exceeds 100 degrees, the instinct for survival in Fahrenheit begins to override caution. A single misstep in the muddy ground could lure wild dogs into an ambush. In the water, crocodiles completely control the situation. Their powerful jaws can exert pressure of up to 3,700 pounds per square inch, dragging the target into an environment where all advantages disappear. The encounter ends quickly from the start. After leaving the still water, the survivors on the shore receive a silent lesson. Even after the group has captured prey, the danger has not dissipated. If the reward is too close to the water's edge, a sudden attack may occur. It is taken away and disappears under the murky water, leaving the group unable to react. Only when the ambusher is lured away from its familiar environment does the balance of the dry ground truly change. Wild dogs rely on speed, agility, and numbers to gain the upper hand, forcing their opponents to retreat. This is a reminder for the Serengeti grasslands. Once outside their territory, no prey is invincible. On the open savanna, antelopes represent speed and alertness. They weigh about 150 pounds on average. They move in packs. When they turn, antelopes can leap 10 feet high. It's like leaping over a high wall for the wild dogs. These are familiar prey, but it's not easy. African wild dogs are the most efficient predators on the continent. They have an 80% success rate. They understand the cost and limits of explosive speed. Their strategy is endurance. The chase begins with continuous pressure over miles of terrain, forcing the antelopes to maintain speeds beyond their physiological limits. As lactic acid gradually accumulates in the prey's muscles, every change in terrain and every mile becomes the inevitable downfall of the exhausted runner. As the antelope tries to escape to the water, the wild dogs launch an intense chase. As fatigue sets in, the hunt enters its decisive phase. While the prey still has the strength to resist, the wild dogs will not rush in. They deliberately leave the only escape route, guiding the antelope into this shallow water area. The powerful jumps that once ensured survival lose their advantage in the face of mud and resistance. In comparison, the wild dogs, skilled swimmers, quietly close the last few yards to the finish line. The prey quickly weakens as the escape route disappears. The group cooperates to pull the zebra back onto solid ground, thus ending the chase efficiently. There is no display of superfluous power, only an energy-efficient strategy executed with precision. They do not belong to the fastest runners, but they choose the best place to end the hunt. Crocodiles are the ghosts of the water. Lions are the lords of the land. Adult male lions weigh about 500 pounds. They are not only predators, but also a torrent of power in the competition per square kilometer in the grasslands. Each weighs about 60 pounds. It must be understood that pure speed and group tactics cannot compete with brute force. For lions, wild dogs are not prey, but a disruptive factor in the order of the territory. A sudden charge is not out of hunger, but to establish control over areas with high lion density. Persistent pressure is enough to weaken the wild dog's ability to raise their young. This is silent natural selection in the cycle of survival. The roar of the king of the grasslands can be heard up to 5 miles away, demonstrating dominance and forcing other predators to remain vigilant. The story is not just about brute force. In the face of immediate danger, wild dogs do not choose to confront. They analyze tracks, listen to the distant roar of lions, and flexibly adjust their routes to avoid high-risk areas. Wild dogs survive through adaptability and group discipline. Sometimes they deliberately restrain themselves in front of the lions. If power creates an advantage, then wisdom determines who stays in the game. Every year, the East African savanna becomes the stage for the world's largest migration. Millions of wildebeest cross the open grasslands in search of fresh pasture and seasonal water sources, creating a vast, mobile entity carrying both opportunity and danger. Wild dogs don't recklessly charge into the densely packed, moving herds. Instead, they quietly disperse, turning dust trails into invisible traps, where a single sprint cannot escape. The chase can last up to 30 minutes. The pack focuses on isolating individuals, gradually separating them from the protection of the herd. The prey's heart rate is pushed to its limits, with constant muscle fatigue. This endurance-based strategy gives wild dogs a hunting success rate of up to 80%, the highest among large predators on the savanna. Wildebeest, however, they are not easily overcome under pressure. Males may turn to face the threat, lowering their nearly 2-foot-long horns to counterattack up close. Even a small misjudgment can put the wild dogs in danger. Therefore, wild dogs do not act recklessly. They keep their distance and keep moving, waiting for the brief opportunity to weaken their target. Each hunt is a series of decision-making processes. Whether to continue the pressure or retreat, success does not come from taking risks, but from precise judgment. Shadow diving from the sky flashes like lightning, making the entire prairie seem to hold its breath. The king of the sky, a golden eagle, descends silently. Just by its presence is enough to terrify. With a single flap of its wings, the distance vanishes in an instant, and the target is firmly locked on. Nowhere to escape. Each dive puts immense pressure on. A brief mistake could determine the outcome. So what allows the sky's master to always choose the perfect moment to strike? golden eagle is a large bird of prey. It inhabits rugged mountains to cold coasts, with strong winds becoming natural runways. Adults typically weigh 8 to 14 pounds. Wingspans often exceed 6 feet. Its curved talons lock onto the target like steel hooks. Its eyesight is often compared to a magnifying glass. It can perceive subtle movements from a distance. While soaring, it constantly senses air currents, choosing the right angle and saving energy. This is the survival strategy in the harsh skies. Coyotes are often called opportunists of the wilderness. Agile, tough hunters, good at turning any opportunity into an advantage. Even though it may also become a golden eagle target, especially small pups that stray from the pack. One precise grab can instantly paralyze a pup. Almost immediately. When the opponent is an adult coyote, the pace changes instantly, relying on a jaw with a bite force of 400 pounds, and a tenacious fighting spirit that forces the eagle to retreat. In this case, the eagle finds it difficult to maintain its advantage for long. The smart move is to disengage and look for safer opportunities. This is the unspoken law of the savannah between heaven and earth. There is no absolute ruler. Only survival warriors who know when to move forward and know when to retreat at critical moments can usher in tomorrow. The harsh mountain terrain forges extraordinary survivors. Goats, their cloven hooves, grip the steep rock faces, turning the perilous cliffs into a fortress that eagles struggle to breach. The challenge isn't breaking through this defense, but waiting for the opportunity to strike with precision. From a height of about 300 feet, the eagle glides close to the mountain face. Isolating from the group, choosing the cleanest route. Body tense like a projectile. It dives at a speed approaching 150 miles per hour. The action is completed in seconds, and then the prey is taken away from the cliff. Eagles rarely attack adult goats, but occasionally there are bold ones. More calculating individuals don't rely on brute force. Instead, they rely on pressure and positioning. No sustained clinging. The eagle approaches at a narrow angle. Using the steady strength of its legs, it guides its opponent to the smooth rock face. Once it loses its footing, the goat loses its balance and slides down the slope, ending this encounter. At this altitude, gravity becomes a silent ally, helping the eagle conserve energy. In the mountain ecosystem, it is those who choose their moment, not the show-offs, that survive the longest. Foxes are known for their cunning. They have keen ears and sensitive noses. They can sprint up to 30 miles per hour. Their fur changes with the seasons, helping them blend in with their surroundings. But for eagles, even the smallest hint can be a signal. Sometimes, foxes become so engrossed in foraging that they ignore the sky. Unknowingly, they enter the eagle's hunting territory. High above, the eagle dives down like a punctuation mark, delivering a clean and decisive, fatal strike, forcing the fox into a desperate struggle to break free. Even so, once it loses its advantage, the eagle never takes a reckless risk. If the point of contact is too close to the nest, or the terrain is too dense and the edges disappear, the eagle immediately ascends and retreats, never letting the situation backfire. But when the fox takes cover in the forest or counterattacks decisively, the eagle retreats for its own safety. Among eagles, brown snake eagles are known as experts at hunting snakes. They usually attack ground snakes. Even a tiny mistake is immediately fatal. The most critical tactic is to accurately stab the back of the head, instantly locking the snake's neck. Because of this, it is not limited to simple targets. It even dares to approach highly venomous snakes like the black mamba, cobras and vipers. In tropical coastal waters, white-bellied sea eagles quickly lock onto their prey from a height. They dive precisely and instantly snatch their prey. The advantage of the goshawk lies in its speed. Its quick, accurate, and thick-scaled talons allow it to maintain control. Therefore, the goshawk strikes quickly, keeping a distance, and then using scaled talons to apply pressure to deal with it. But in nature, the outcome is never fixed. Once, the snakes held on tightly. A brief counterattack temporarily disabled the goshawk. When the situation seemed resolved, the sound of a lioness came from nearby. Cautious probing attracted the snake's attention. This allowed the goshawk to break free and fly away from danger. This moment highlights the goshawk's excellent adaptability. Also, it reminds us that strength isn't just about muscle. It's also about precise perception and the use of species characteristics. Unique advantages. Open woodland areas, wild boars are cautious and immediately alert when encountering danger. Adults can sprint up to 30 miles per hour. Their curved tusks and sudden attacks make the goshawk unwilling to engage head-on. Opportunities often last only a few seconds. A group of piglets crosses the open area and silently drift away above the south shadow. The goshawk begins to observe the wind. It quickly approaches and locks onto its target with its 2-inch-long talons. Even though the piglet is still struggling, the goshawk maintains control through the first few seconds. This encounter is equally swift from start to finish. For the goshawk, survival depends on mastering the rhythm of the herd, choosing the smallest openings, retreating in time to conserve energy, avoiding unnecessary risks, and continuing to fulfill its role in the balance of nature. Along coastlines and estuaries, ospreys transform the water's surface into a flowing map of life. Fish are not only food, but also fuel for survival. On average, a single individual may consume about 200 to 350 fish per year. Most of their time in the air is directly related to hunting on the water's surface. The hunt begins with patience. Ospreys glide low, observing the water's surface with sharp eyes. Their eyesight is said to be 3 to 4 times better than a human's, quickly spotting clear fish shadows beneath the surface. Claws close precisely. With just a few flaps of their wings, they can lift their prey into the air. A rare moment in nature. The king of the sky successfully subdues a descendant of the ocean. This is a young shark, about a foot long, taken away by an incredibly strong lift. The hunt ends with a precious trophy from one of the most powerful opponents on the planet, safely landed in a secure area. The message is clear. Not only is the sky's master efficient, but also good at choosing targets that suit its own limits. On the harsh savanna, wild dogs survive by discipline, memory, and precise decisions. If this journey brings a new perspective on nature, the story has completed its mission. The channel will continue to record moments of survival in the wild. Every like and subscription ensures the story continues. Beyond the lens, the survival cycle continues in silence.